Okay, how you doing? If you found this video, it's a miracle, because they get hidden pretty well because they're not monetized. They could be monetized. I could monetize them. I can do that on my account, but I'm really not here to make money. But I would like to offer explanations, and I think the title on this one's going to be something about how misunderstood the book of Revelation, the apocalypse, the revealing of Jesus, I think is what it's called sometimes. Why it's so scary and why it's so misunderstood. And it doesn't take much research, and you can find this out for yourself. The Greek, the oldest Greek text that they can find to translate from, was written in a style of Greek that is pretty much unknown. You'll find it has been referred to as a slang or street type Greek. It was poorly written. The tradition is that John, the Apostle John, John the disciple, one of the 12, is the one who wrote it, but they know pretty much for sure that's not the style of writing, by the style, etc., and the type of Greek that was used. It's not the same author. It was someone named John, and he describes himself in the beginning of those pages of that book. But he was someone who came to deliver a message to that island, apparently, and it got written down. And it has been probably the most poorly translated book in definitely the New Testament, I would say, and most misunderstood. And the men who were trying to translate it were already indoctrinated into a form of Christianity. So when it came to deciding how to translate, they tried to keep it in the order of what was already established. That's a problem with a whole lot of the New Testament and Old Testament, really. The scribes kind of had their way with it, and since they couldn't understand it, some of the most famous passages that I think pretty much most of the world, or at least the world that has access to media, the 666, the Antichrist, the Beast, and all that, they have no idea if it's really 666. I don't know. But it's become one of the most important passages for eschatology, in the Bible. So, I'm here to encourage you. First find out what it was Jesus was all about, and then really look into it, really do some background research on the book. Don't just take the word of someone who's making a living out of preaching out of it, which there's a lot of preaching going on. I'm going to take a guess that probably nearly every Sunday in every church in this country, something from the book of Revelation is mentioned. And usually it's scary, Since Jesus didn't try to scare anybody, I'm pretty sure that that's not the intention of the book, or Anyway, I see it much differently in the light of what Jesus did and what he taught than most, as I do most of the text. But this came up yesterday because this is a day when I'm recording. This is the day after Thanksgiving here in this country, and I saw a trailer to a Mel Gibson movie is coming out, a sequel to The Passion, and I noticed that in the trailer it has the scary stuff that the churches preach, and a lot of it out of the book of Revelation. I think he's going to call it the Resurection, which, I'm not seeing a whole lot in the trailer about a resurrection, but except that they say he was out of his tomb, But as far as the resurrection of all mankind, it's, I don't know. Something that religion knows very little about. And so they don't really know what to expect. I expect what Jesus said. If you want to find out what that was, and read what he said. Anyway, this was just something. I've been studying the text for over 40 years now. Not so much in the last few years because it's really difficult to have an objective study because it's been commented and side noted so much over the last 1,500 years, and it's very difficult to dig out what in the text has been translated or transliterated either way correctly. The key I use is Jesus. What did Jesus teach? What was Jesus about? Everything else should match up. Anything that's worth knowing came from him. And so, yeah, it is a mess. The texts are. And it's exhaustive work going through it. Objectively, I'm not a teacher and I'm not a preacher, and I might get kind of preachy, but not in the typical sense. I prefer that the great news be, what did he say? Taken to all the world, the same way Jesus did, by allowing the miracles to speak for themselves on who he is and who Papa is and who the Holy Spirit is. So go study about the book of Revelation. Go study and you'll see what I'm saying is true. If you can take the time, it's well worth it. Anyway, like I said, if you found this video, it's a miracle to start with, because they're really hard to find. I can't even find them myself. But if you found it, I hope you learned a little something, or at least you're encouraged to go learn some more. All right? All right. Peace and safety.